The Lonely Lake Monster, Chapter 19, Sasquatch Toes. Pearl and Ben followed Mr. Tabby down the hall. "Can we talk to Cobblestone again later?" Pearl asked. "I have so many questions, like, why do leprechauns make shoes? Do they make anything else, like hats or raincoats? And how come they're so small? And is there a king of the leprechauns? And are they related to gnomes? 'Cause he looks just like the garden gnomes in Mrs. Foot's garden. And do they really hide their gold at the end of the rainbow?" "I'd like to know how to find the end of a rainbow," Ben said. Mr. Tabby growled. "If you do not wish to test my patience, then I would advise you to stop asking bothersome questions." "But," Mr. Tabby spun around, "consider yourself lucky, Pearl Petal, for today you stole a leprechaun's gold and lived to tell the tale. If the leprechaun's magic had not been clogged with sniffles and snot, then you would surely not be standing before me at this moment." "Level 3 on the danger scale," Ben whispered to Pearl. "I'm sorry," Pearl said, and she was. The last thing she wanted was to make a mess of things. "I won't go near a level 3 creature again until you tell me I'm ready." Very wise indeed. They all climbed onto the conveyor belt, and Mr. Tabby pushed the button. He looked a bit silly sitting cross-legged in his crisply pleated pants. As they entered the tunnel, Pearl couldn't hold back her next question. Wouldn't it be easier to just walk between rooms instead of riding on this thing? "We are taking this mode of transport because there are parts of the hospital that you are not allowed to see," Mr. Tabby explained. "The conveyor belt is a leftover from the factory days when it was part of the Button Factory's assembly line. Dr. Wu finds it most efficient for transporting sick creatures, especially if the creature is rather large and heavy." He led them back to the lobby, then made a tisk-tisk sound as he looked at the front door. "Ben Silverstein," he said. "Yes?" "Do you remember what happened when you did not bolt the front door during your last visit?" "Yeah, I remember," Ben said. "The Sasquatch got loose." Ben's cheeks turned bright red. "Oh no, did it get loose again?" "Fortunately, it did not," Mr. Tabby said as he slid the bolt in place. "But you must never leave the door unlocked again. There is someone who wants in. A very dangerous someone who would stop at nothing to get inside this hospital." "Do you mean Mrs. Mulberry?" Pearl asked. "She's the snoopiest person in Buttonville." "I am not referring to Mrs. Mulberry," Mr. Tabby said. "However, we will be installing a new front door security system. It is being shipped from Iceland." He strode over to the elevator and pushed the button. The door swished open. "You will cease asking questions and resume your duties on the 3rd floor." Pearl and Ben stepped into the elevator. "Who do you think he's talking about?" Pearl asked as the elevator rose. "I don't know," Ben said, "and I don't want to find out." Perhaps now was not the time, but at some point Pearl definitely wanted to learn all about the mysterious, dangerous person who'd stop at nothing to get inside the hospital. Up in the forest suite, the Sasquatch lay on its back, snoring. "He sounds like my grandfather," Ben said. It took a while to find the clippers amid the thick undergrowth. Pearl carefully picked the chewed gum from the Sasquatch's fur while Ben clipped. The sharp yellow shards flew through the air, embedding themselves in trees. Soon all 10 toes had tidy, short nails. The Sasquatch twitched a few times, but stayed asleep. "What do you think it's dreaming about?" Pearl asked. "Maybe it's home or its family." "I was just thinking we should stop calling the Sasquatch an it. Shouldn't we call it a he or a she?" "I guess so, but which is it?" They both shrugged and decided to ask Mr. Tabby some other time. "What do we do now?" Pearl whispered, not wanting to wake the sleeping giant. We can go downstairs and get our next assignment, Ben replied, but we'd better do it without breaking any rules. I don't want to get fired. They stepped back into the elevator. Ben reached out to push the first floor button when a nasal voice sounded from a speaker in the elevator's control panel. Apprentices to Dr. Wu's office immediately. Uh-oh, Pearl and Ben said at the same time. Only one person could fire them, and that person had returned.